the audio section of PWInsiderElite.com. This is Dave Scher. I am joined today by Jeff Hardy. How are you today, Jeff?
I'm doing all right, man. I can't complain.
Can't complain. Obviously, this big week for you. Return to TNA TV this week.
Yeah, huge week. This week is all about Hardy's revenge. Jeff Hardy versus James Storm in a cage. It's all about Hardy's revenge, and I'm going to get it.
Yeah, I'm sure you've probably heard now Brock Lesnar just re-signed with WWE yesterday for a multi-year contract. And one of the things he pointed out when he signed yesterday, the reason he would do it is because he could work a limited dates contract where he's not on the road every week. You've lived that life, and obviously you've gone to TNA now where the schedule is lighter too. At this point in your life, is the road schedule that big of a deal, being away from home, working the house shows? Is that a big reason why you're in TNA right now?
Yeah, that's honestly the only reason or way I could ever go back to sign some kind of deal like that. Because with TNA, I have a lot of time off with my family, and I have plenty of time to heal. So when I do go to work and we film, I can work my ass off, and then I have so much time to heal and take care of myself. And it's just not overdoing it, and I can't overdo it. I can't overdo it, especially with my style. Yeah,
your style. Obviously, I don't think anybody listening to this, and they're all hardcore wrestling fans, they know what you've been through the years, and obviously you've taken some big bumps. What goes through your mind when in your matches you put it in your mind what you're going to do in a match? Some of the stuff you've done. When you're going to do it, I'm sitting here going, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He just did that. What's the thought process that goes into some of a lot of the stuff you do basically is still pretty intense, but some of the really big spots, what goes through your mind setting them up and saying, yep, this is what I'm going to do?
It's the fear, the fear of it. And I guess, honestly, it's the fear of maybe not getting back up or getting injured, and I really believe that it comes from my past of, racing dirt bikes and motocross, and I still ride when I'm able and when I have time, and I build my own tracks, I make my own obstacles, so I feel like I create these fears for myself, and then I have to conquer them, but it's scary because you might, really hurt yourself, but like when you do conquer that fear, it's such a good high in a natural and good way, and same thing with wrestling, man. I have these ideas that I want to do or see if I can pull off, and, man, once you pull them off, there's just it's such a good feeling, especially when you're doing something you love. And with TNA, I've been able to, I think I'm wrestling the best I've ever wrestled in my entire life, and I owe that to TNA.
Now, you talk about these things you create for yourself, and it is a mindset, I think, that unless you're someone that lives on the edge like that, you won't understand. Going forward now, you got the wife and the child. The child. Does that enter into your mind when you're standing on top of a cage? You're thinking, time for a swanton. Does the family go into your head too, or do you just say to yourself, I can't think like that when I'm up here?
No, big time. It's always in my head, and that doesn't create hesitation, but in a way, it makes me, stronger because my daughter is so tough, and like her just watching me, she's, been concerned. She's 4 years old, and she's aware of what I do and my career, and just it goes through my mind, for sure. But she's witnessed several things I've done, and I've been all right for the majority of most of them, and not seriously injured, and that's the main thing, to not get seriously injured and know what you're doing. And my thing is I've always felt confident in what I can do and what my body's capable of doing. And my luck hasn't run out, but I can't lie, man. It feels like, even like this weekend, we're lucky enough to be able to wrestle Rob Van Dam and Sabu. A huge match. Hardy Boys was, RVD and Sabu, and I'm thinking my luck might run out tonight because I'm going to go out there and put it all on the line. And but that's just the way my mentality is, and it's worked so far. So I'm trying to keep that same pace.
How does your body feel after? You've been in this over 20 years now. You started as a kid. How do you feel?
I feel okay. I'm sore a lot. I've been having at the tapings last week at Universal Studios, I did a house show dive, crossbody to the floor to a guy, and I just hit my thigh on his shoulder. I was playing it safe, and oh my God, it's just my knee has been horrible this week. But I've seen my chiropractor 3 times, and I might see him again tonight before I leave tomorrow, just to do some treatment on it. But overall, I'm lucky, man. I'm just sore. A lot, but I can walk. I can still ride my dirt bike, and man, I can't complain. That's such a good way to put it. It could be a lot worse,
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. You love the life down in North Carolina, right?
Love it, man. Love it.
Never moving.
My property, man, this is a part of me, and I need this to feel safe, and I need this to survive. I mean, so yeah, my property is my life.
Okay, you're what, 37 now? Are you really 37 now? How'd that happen, man?
37. How does that have time, man? You can't stop it.
You can. I know I'm 53, man. I feel like I'm 23, but that's till I try to get up out of a chair, and then, reality sinks. How much longer do you see yourself going in the business?
I don't even think about that, man. I've been reading a book. I won't even mention the name, but it's all about one day at a time. And, it's like, just take one day at a time and don't really worry about the future. But, it's hard not to worry about the future, especially with a 4-year-old. There's all kinds of things to do to prepare for the future. But, man, and I found it very productive, man. Just one day at a time and live that day to your fullest and be happy. And try your best not to worry about, the negatives that could possibly enter your life in the future. And so I live in the day, in the moment. Just like back in the old days of Team Extreme, live for the moment. I kind of still follow that rule. And I don't know. I mean, it could be over within the blink of an eye, snap of a finger. And I just live it day by day.
Is there anything left in your mind you want to accomplish? Another WWE run, working in Japan? Maybe is there anything that you feel, if your career were to end, if you decided to hang it up tomorrow, is there anything left on your plate that you still said, man, I want to get this done before I'm done with this business?
Yeah, well, the main thing about WWE, that there's one thing I never did there that I've always wanted to do was Hell in a Cell. I never got to do that, and that's what's going to drive me crazy. If I never return there and get to do that, it's going to haunt me for the rest of my life. But as far as matches, man, I've wrestled about everybody I've ever dreamed of, other than Jushin Thunder Liger, and I think he's going to be out there where I'm going to be at the WrestleCon this weekend. But I can't lie, watching Bray Wyatt's promo the other night, I flipped on to Raw and checked it out, and man, that's a dude I'd love to work with somewhere down the road because he's awesome, straight up awesome. And but yeah, other than that, man, I'm pretty satisfied with what I've accomplished.
That's what you should be if you've had a hell of a career. I mean, I don't think anyone would say any different. If you could tell Jeff Hardy, that guy from 20 years ago breaking into the business, anything that you've learned through the business today that would have helped him then, what would it be?
Oh, definitely to never let addiction control your life, for sure. If I could go way back before I ever drank a beer, that would be number one, man. Don't let addiction take control of your life, because it'll take you down a long, dirty, hard, dark road, and you wouldn't want no part of that. So, but in reality, what's you can't change. You have to live with, and that's what I'm living with. And I think it's made me better overall. But if I could go back, that would be my number one. Don't ever get involved in anything that control you other than yourself, other than your clear mind.
I do indeed. I know what you mean. I've been there, so I understand. And when you're talking one day at a time earlier, obviously that's a mantra that anybody who's dealt with any kind of addiction understands completely. It's
huge, yeah. Yep, one day at a time.
Well, your brother recently, that older brother of yours, he recently signed to stay on with TNA as well. What's it like getting to go to work and seeing your brother all the time, just like the good old days?
Oh, it's great, and it's so fun to have Hardy Boy tag team matches these days, because Matt and I, we've always been opposites attract, and his way is his way and my way is my way, but he has got such a good mind for pro wrestling as far as psychology and storytelling, and then I've got such a good way of being, thinking out of the box, and like when we combine that thought, it always creates beauty. Like working the two young guys, the Young Bucks, which I love. We've worked them, 2 or 3 times now, and it's just been so fun getting together and putting matches together with those guys because they're so great. And especially just being older now, and it's a blast to get in there with Matt and have great tag team matches and tell good stories. And there's going to be a lot more of that here in the next year. I get excited before every match because I love working with my brother, and he is doing better than ever as well. And he's got such a good mind. He could run a company and be so successful, I'm sure.
Now, you mentioned you're going to work together with him. Is the plan to work as a tag team? Obviously, now the tag team titles with Eddie Edwards getting injured, they're up for grabs. Do you plan on doing singles matches, a mix of both? What's the next year or so look like for you guys?
I think so. It's going to be a lot of Hardy Boy tag team action for sure. And our number one goal is to become the TNA World Tag Team Champions for the first time, and I can guarantee that's going to happen. Because we feel it and we know it, and Matt and I are just these two guys that set goals for ourselves, and we have to fulfill them, man, and we have to reach our dreams, and we've reached many of them. But becoming the TNA Tag Team Champions is definitely the next, and I can guarantee that's going to happen.
Taking it down a different road, one of the things that you've done for years now is your music career. How's that going?
It's going good. We're going in the 1st of April to finish up the second CD, and I am super pleased with the way it's coming out because I don't know if you've ever tried to sing before, but it's a horrible challenge. I mean,
Jeff, I have to tell you, the world doesn't need to hear that. Trust me.
Okay, well, when you're not that talented of a singer, and you go in and you try to, and you think there's this hope of man, it is crazy. But I have to say, this second album has blown my mind the way it's turned out. I think we're gonna try to do 12 tracks. So we're gonna do 3 in Nashville, 1st of April, and then do 2 through email, and we're gonna have 12 tracks for the next album, which is called Within the Cygnus Rift. It's all about, ever since my mom died back when I was 9 years old, I've had this obsession with death. And it's all about kind of putting a positive spin on death and the hope that there is something else. So it's very exciting and very touching, and some of it's sad, but some of it's very inspirational. And we're going to finish that 1st of April, hopefully, and it'll be out later this year, 2015. I'm not sure if it's going to be out through TNA or just independently through me and Junior Merrill from Cincinnati, but it's going really good. But a part of me wants to give up at times because I know I'll never be as good as I want to be, but I can't say that. I got to believe I can be as good as I want to be. So right now, that's where I'm at with the music thing. I don't want to give up right now. I'm still going to keep pushing, and I might get there. And if I don't, I'll just give up.
Last year, you did the Willow character. Why don't you tell the audience how that came about, your alter ego?
Oh, props to TNA for even letting me, try that, because WWE, I think they would never put a mask on a huge baby face, but, it was so, I didn't know if it was going to happen for sure, but then one day out of the blue when I had like 2 months off, I think it was beginning of 2014, I was like, it's probably not going to happen, because me and Jeff Jarrett had talked about it, for so long, and then naturally things happened with Jeff Jarrett and TNA, and but then out of nowhere they called and said, we're sending somebody out filming some vignettes about Willow for some character development. And I was like, oh shit, let's go, here we go. And I had to get my mind thinking, and I thought the vignettes were one of the funnest things I've ever done in pro wrestling. But leading up to it, it was a challenge to wrestle as Willow in TNA, because back in the day when I did it, Jeff Hardy and Willow was 2 completely different characters, but being I'm older now, I can't do what I used to do then. But it's a part of my future for sure. I do have this dual personality, and Willow's. My fans are very aware of Willow now, and I think even the kids dig Willow. And instead of being this hateful heel, I think he's going to be a more likable role model for the children. I mean, like a SpongeBob character or something like that. I think we can do it in the right way to where kids love him and they want to be like him, and he's still got that aggression that kind of freaks people out. That violence that is in a good way, you know. It's violence towards the bad people. So definitely down the road, Willa's going to be back. There's no doubt about that, and I can't wait to do it.
Well, I know we're running up against the amount of time you have today. We appreciate your time. I know you're heading out to the Bay Area. We talked about WrestleCon earlier. Why don't you tell everybody what you'll be doing this weekend?
The main thing I know is I'm going to be signing a lot of autographs, taking a bunch of pictures, and wrestling Rob Van Dam and Sabu, two of the coolest brothers I could ever have in the wrestling business. I love those guys, and that's probably the only reason I'm doing the event, point blank. But other than that, man, it should just be a good show. We're going to be out there near WrestleMania, and all the WrestleMania fans will get to come see the Hardy Boys wrestle RVD and Sabu, and that's about it. But more importantly, this Friday night is my return to TNA Impact Wrestling, 9 o'clock on Destination America, and I get my revenge on James Storm, and you got to see it because it's a flawless cage match, one of the best I've ever had, if not the, and so that's the most important thing right now. Check out, Friday night, Destination America, 9 o'clock, James Storm versus Jeff Hardy, Hardy's Revenge.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Jeff. We really appreciate it. Take care and have a great time this weekend out in California.
Thank you. I'll try, man.